All right. So we are officially live. We are hanging out and getting ready to start coding. So if you have joined us on any of the platforms right now, thanks for joining us. If you would like to join the conversation and you're on Twitter, aka X, make sure you head over to our Twitter space. You will be able to go ahead and join the conversation and hang out and kind of like watch the live stream in real time. I'm going to go ahead, if you're in the Twitter space, I'm going to pin the live stream to the top of the room so you have access to see this. Welcome, welcome. We do see we have one person in the room. Feel free, if you want to join the conversation, you can request to be a speaker and just chat with us, or you can drop a few comments in the chat, and we will be following that throughout the session. And we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So our goal today is we're going to go through a couple of different things. We are going to go ahead and update the styling that we have for our job card for a PR that Andre is working on. For those of you who are new to this space, this live stream is all about the Tech by Choice open source initiative. So we are a community that's focused on helping people understand, thrive in tech without feeling like they need to code switch to figure out how to navigate the ups and downs of the tech industry. So one of the ways that we do this is we are very action oriented. We want to make sure that people have hands-on experience, so you kind of don't have to get ready. You just stay ready, because why, in this market, that's what you got to do. Things are difficult. So what this program is really cool because yes, it's open source. Yes, people want to get that experience, but we also focus on training and mentorship. And we have been we're going to start live streaming some of these sessions so that people get a better understanding of what open source can look like in the wild with those bright support systems behind everyone. So now that we've done the intro, now that people know what's going on and what they're watching, feel free again to go ahead and drop your comments in the chat. And we'll be interacting with you here. We already got a question in the chat. Is this your paid source initiative? Yes, it is. So the cool thing about this initiative is that it's stipend backed. Yes, open source is typically free. It's like one of those interns for college students that either doesn't pay or it doesn't pay for you to get that experience. We understand that our community doesn't always have the time or the privilege to do that. So we are backing our work with paid stipends per PR. And we do this cohort based. You can find out more information if you want to learn more about Tech by Choice, the programs and initiatives that we have going for our community by checking us out at techbychoice.org. Thank you for your question. Keep them coming. Let us know. Again, if you're on X, you can go ahead and join us in the Twitter space. I do see that we have someone who is already up here as a speaker. Just want to take some time to say hello. How is it going? For all the folks in the Twitter space. Cool. Awesome. So yeah, feel free to chime into conversations whenever you want to. We're going to go ahead and get started. So Andre, you want to kick us off with, we know we're working on the card component, and we want to make sure that we get the styling to match some of the styling that we talked about in the Figma file. So can you head over to the Figma file for us?
I just realized I was muted. Wow. I wanted to say also, Valerie, to everybody who's in the Twitter, you can retweet the space, and yeah, we might actually get some more people who want to find out more about the open source initiative. What was the question now, Valerie? I'm sorry about that.
Let's go ahead and jump into kicking off this programming session by jumping into the Figma file and showing people like what we're going to be doing a little bit of design work and going to before we jump into the code. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, got you. I'm in the Figma file right now, I believe. I do see a
Okay.
V up there, so yeah, I think we're both there.
Yep. Yep. All right. So we are going to go ahead and can you double click on my V so you could get like you're following me? Okay,
Oh,
cool. So we're going to break down what's going on from design, and we're going to start talking about what it's like to do handoff between a developer and a designer. I'm going to play the role of a designer. Am I a designer in real life? No, but I used to be a UX designer, which required me to do some of this work. Was I good at it? Questionable, but I got paid and quickly moved over into tech. So I'll be playing the role of the designer to make sure that we connect the dots and move this to the next step. But what we're going to be focusing on is calling out the data that we need to pull from the back end to make this card usable, make it easy for people to like navigate. So we're going to be talking about what elements should go where, and then Andre is going to be the person who is doing the coding, and he is going to be pulling in and working with the data, the backend APIs to make sure everything's good to go. And it's going to be a really cool session. So again, for those of you who are watching us, light up the chat. Let us know what's going on. If you're liking this, if you're having a hard time seeing the screen, the text, let us know so we can zoom in. We're still testing out some of the setup, so if things get a little wonky, we really need your support to make sure that this is going in the right direction.
agree.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead, Andre, and talk about the screen here. So right now our cards are kind of just like blobs. It's more so just like a work in progress, but I want to talk about what we want to add into um, the actual
Card.
so we want to add company name. We want to I like the idea of having the date posted. I think as far as like date formatting, it's kind of all over the place currently in our site. And so I think there's definitely some like consolidation that we could do once we get this to a good state. I think I'm going to switch this because I'm going to be jumping back and forth between a couple of screens. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, so if we, I don't know if I have this. No, my logo is not. So I know we want to put the date. We'll use the formatting that we're currently using within the app. But I think starting off with the company name, the date, the role, it's really good. And I think, didn't we have some like, am I sharing? Okay.
No. Are you sharing?
I think so.
Let me check.
Yeah, I'm sharing. Um, didn't we have a link for like the dribble, like the inspiration for this?
Yes, we did. I could send it to you. Oh, here we go. Got you.
Um, so one of the things that we like to do when we're designing is look for inspiration, see how other people are breaking things down. And so if you're someone who is new to design, who knew in a coding session we would be also learning about design? What do you if nothing else, what we are is resourceful in this community.
It's true.
And so we like to talk about how we can like bridge that gap and find inspiration from what's already out there. And one of the ways that we do that is by checking out things that happen in Dribble or websites like Behance. Those are really good websites if you're trying to get inspiration. I got the link, Andre. Um, if you're trying to get inspiration, um, those are really good sites to go to. Um,
I,
yeah, so I
where,
think
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I'll drop the link in our chat in just a second. I think
No,
we were looking at
that one. Yes, that one.
yeah. So we really liked how this design was set up, how the image was, and just like the way that they broke down the hierarchy of the information. It seemed like it would be really simple to implement into our site. And these are just good examples of how we can start to break down the data that we have and show it in a way that's like easy to digest and all that good stuff. Um, so
Don't mind what I added in the chat. I didn't know how to use it, which is,
no,
jeez.
we're good. So thinking about this and thinking about the hierarchy, and me playing designer, I'm gonna start pulling in some of these elements so that we can start to see what this could look like and have a really good reference point. That's switching out what this design is talking about, and making it match more of what is live on our site and what we're trying to build. So we're in Figma and we have our design library already kind of like spread out, leveraging the material UI library. And we are just like using these elements that are in our branding already. Thank shout out to our designer that helped us out with this. And we're just going to make some changes to make sure that we're getting the vibe that we are looking for. Um, cool. So, Andre, let's start. Help me out with calling out some of the elements that we want to start to bring over into the site.
Okay, so we definitely want a a jumbotron image.
Okay, cool, cool, got that. So, I know in the design that there is like this padding around the image. I don't know how I 100% feel about this padding. Um, I kind
Um,
of like it flesh because it kind of matches what we have in our
yeah,
site already.
yes,
So
and
I think that's good.
yeah, definitely no background shadow either. No box shadow, not
Hmm.
needed because it really just like interrupts the flow of the look of the current look of the site. Pretty much everything you have on the card, which would be the company name, job role, the description of it. Were we gonna put any um
We need to know about the money. What are we?
icons?
Oh yeah, um I think we do have some. Let me pull up the site.
Material UI icon thingy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um. Oh, I see. We do have some folks in our Twitter, our X Spaces. No, that doesn't sound great. Twitter Spaces. If you are joining us in Twitter Spaces, you can go ahead and request to speak if you want to just join the conversation. So know that you have that up your sleeve. But if you're just hanging out, listening, watching, we appreciate you for doing that too. So thanks for that.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not gonna join. It's gonna make a little bit of noise on my side.
okay. So
All
yeah,
right.
let's we want to add money. I'm not quite sure if I'm feeling the um
Description.
yeah, because it would just be a short description where you would have to do like the ellipses.
Okay.
And I think it would be more meaningful if we had something like
The
100K through, um,
salary range.
yeah, I think that would make more sense. And then um, looking at this, I think another thing to talk about. Oh, so having the difference between hourly and salary rate, that would be good. Gotta know what type of money you're making.
That is true. That is true.
Welcome, Trey. Thank you for joining. We are currently designing
Hey,
and
Trey.
coding. We're bringing back Dev and Chill. It's been way too long since the last time we did this. We need some type of chaos. Uh,
Agree.
the Who was it? Drake and who's
Kendrick.
beef?
Kendrick.
No, no, no. It's Rick Ross. Rick Ross and Drake can't be the only people who are having fun. We need to.
Who are being menaces to the culture.
I don't know. I don't know if it's menace. They just sound like. I read something where they're like, "Oh, Drake and Rick Ross are just having a middle schooler fight," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's the most accurate explanation of what I've been seeing."
Yeah. It's just some rich people just saying, I got this, I got this, I got this. It's yeah. Yeah.
Welcome, Trey. Thank you for joining the stage. How's your night going?
It's going well. It's funny that I'm watching y'all cook. I was like, man, what's happening? I said, oh, they're actually cooking. And I saw y'all the other day and was imagining. I was like, oh, they're straight up cold. And I was like, wait, they have Bigman here. I was like, wait, all right. Apparently, this is a sign for the universe that I should be watching y'all.
Yeah, we're bringing it back.
Let's go. Yeah. No, we have definitely moved forward a bit from like the um trolling meme days to now open source code.
Yeah, look
For
at
real,
me.
for
Maybe it's my professional voice. I'm not even coming in with chaos yet. You know what I'm saying? I'll build into that later.
Yeah, no, no, no. Let it build. Let it build up. Because I don't think people understand like how epic of a event that we have created in a space that we have built with like the whole Figma and Chill community. It gets wild. It gets wild. We definitely will have to end live streaming and like just go to like a Twitter space at some point, because this is out on the internet. But the fun will always be there. That is the best part of all of this.
I will. I might.
Get to see some irrationality, some design decisions that y'all are making, and you can see it real time. I think one of the coolest parts about what you're doing, the reason why I think like this is probably like my second time like chiming in to kind of like see what you're doing is I think one of the benefits of this is I think about it often when you watch people who do things on YouTube and do tutorials. They don't show like they show this kind of nice, organized, put together thought. Where it's like, bro, listen, I'm out here kind of figuring it out to see some of the ideas that hit the cutting room floor before that. So I think this is kind of cool. Even the fact like to see that y'all are developing this car and y'all are trying to figure out, man, what content should we do? Just how do we look? Usually they tell you you need to do some kind of, you have to have some document, you have to do some card sorting, you have to have this visual identity put together. And right now y'all like, hey, look, I want to see what that looks like. And so they can be inspired. So I think seeing that process and knowing like everything isn't this beautiful, this beautifully orchestrated and organized strategy, I think is kind of cool, especially because y'all are like, yeah, I'm a developer who's cool with getting into design, whereas I'm a designer who's cool with learning code. So I think this is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great summary of like why this is something that people shouldn't be afraid of, because um the more you flex your skills, it's just the like more you can do, whether that be in the workplace, if you're building something on the side with friends, if you're, I don't know, whatever you want to do. By the way, it's been a hot second since we did a Figma and chill.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, I don't know if it's coming through on the screen, but I'm just like, how do you use Figma? Where is hope? Where is hope? Because I'm
part of it was just like, God, like, all right, I would come in and add chaos, but just know I come in, first thing I do is be reorganized and then try to utilize some of the new stuff that comes through. I will tell you, who's driving, Andre or you?
me.
Right now. All right, so do me a favor. There was a thing that you mentioned earlier with your description. I want to see if this makes you feel better about your description. Do me a favor, go to the right, to the card on the right. We're just gonna touch that one for a second.
Okay.
The card on the right, where the description is.
Mm-hmm. Do I not know my? No, I'm here.
No.
Yeah.
Second card. You have two cards. You have the card that you're editing right now. I want to mess with the one to the right, so I don't break anything on this one. I can't touch it. Where it says new feature.
Yeah.
So go to new feature and go to your it is a long established. Am I flagging?
You are. Do you want access to the file?
I am. If you want to live in chaos, it's fine. All right, I'm here. I'm here now. All right, so do me a favor. Do you see where you see your typography, body, body one, whatever it is in your
Please jump into the Figma file because live coding.
Left side. He's talking about. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but yeah, I'm still following.
All right. If you can give me access to it, but yeah, there's a way that you can actually truncate. So when you want to see what it looks like, you truncate, or when you do your.
Oh, that's right. So truncate. Oh no, that's not it.
No. So get out of there. See those three dots?
Yeah.
Yeah, the truncate, right, and right underneath it, max line. So change it to like 2. No, turn the truncate back on. Yeah, there you go. So
oh, look at this.
That turns to max line 2.
What's happening here?
What's happening where?
Oh no, I'm watching this. I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about because I was on mine and I'm on the show.
Yeah. So there it goes. It looks better now. So you can see the truncate and what that looks like with the ellipses.
Okay.
And it's good to go. Trey, I sent you the link to the Figma file in the DMs.
Oh, my DM. You trying to get me in trouble?
You know the link. But yeah. So I don't even know if you're on your computer. Yeah, I still.
I stay on my computer, literally standing up like a millennial worker that I am. Because with the standing desk situation.
Yeah. No, I didn't leverage the standing desk, and I recently started, and it actually is better for your body. So, who knew?
I have a weird standing desk situation, but also I have a little wobble chair, so I can
wobble chair.
Look like a geek. You feel free to bully me. Or my, let me actually sign in, so that way you're like who's anonymous.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm looking at this, and Hope has tried to teach me auto layout. I don't know how many times.
Oh, this is going to turn into a big jam session.
And I think right now is the first time that I'm like actually understanding how to use this. I'm like, oh, this really isn't this bad.
All right. Let me see. I think I can explain it to you, but let me see if I can explain it to you in dev talk, because this is. I think this is kind of a cool segue. So the thing that I enjoy about auto layout, or the thing I can make it clear about simpler with auto layout is, when you are designing your divs, and you know how you have, let's say you write 2 divs, and like you want to stack them side by side, right? What auto layout is you're able to you don't have to do all the math that you would traditionally do. When you are this one you can put 3. Let me see something. I think it gave me the power to go crazy, right? So, you mind if I'm steal this one from you? Okay?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So when you are building out your whoa, my dog just had a little burp. But when you're building out your divs, so you consider you have this as a div, you have this as a div, and whatever, right? And then you have it set up to where you tell it if you wanted to go vertical or you wanted to go horizontal, right? And there's certain things that you don't need to define because it's already in code. Now in code, I can add this I can make this bigger, how small it is, and everything goes dynamic. When I'm using Photoshop or when not Photoshop, Sketch, or those other things where I used to have to do this manually, now with auto layout, it just automatically creates a space. It automatically keeps things consistent to where if I needed to make sure that everything was always 8 pixels separate, when I turn this into an auto layout, it always keeps control of it. They've done some things now to where, and this is one of the things that I very much love. I'm about to very much go crazy here. I probably should have shared my screen, but I didn't because I'm not that forward thinking. Let me just get rid of these.
It's okay. I'm following you on Figma, so it'll just auto follow you.
So yeah, I'm just gonna shoot to some of the powerful reasons to why I think you would actually kind of work with it on your own. So I'm gonna make this a component. Create this over here. So now we have this component. We're going to tell it. Let's do one. Let's create 3 of them. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Tucker the third. Got it. So 1, 2, 3. Auto layout group them together. So we're going to turn this into, let's say 1440, or let's say 1440, right? And then now we're going to tell all these things to fill, right? And so now, because of auto layout, what it used to be, every time we wanted to change this, we have to change this all 3 different times. And so now with auto layout, it scales depending on what we want it to be. And so I don't have to do the math. As long as I know that how my spacing is, then I'm good. It'll control that. That's just one piece of math to do. I had my 32 pixel padding, so I do that one. But this is my favorite part about it. So I go to your main card. They've added these min and max things right now. So let's say you want to deal with responsive. And so in responsive, you deal with saying, I want this card to be 343, 275, whatever. So the max, I'm sorry, not max width, min width. I want to set my min width. My min width is 343, right? So that means this is the smallest it'll go. And so what I do here is now when I scale it, it's going to tell it it'll stop at that, right? Now, going one step further with auto layout, we deal with responsive. So now that we've gone with creating a min width, if you want to add a max width, which, and let me actually bust out to why I would do a max width. A is, let's say, you are somebody who wants a design that it wants to max out at 1440. And so if we told this thing to go to fill, once you get to a screen resolution that is beyond, let's say, widescreen, you don't have to worry about your design breaking. But as long as it's within there, but all that's the same way you control that by code, you control that with auto layout. And probably, and this is where we're going to get funky, there is vertical layout, horizontal layout, and wrapping. And the things that I enjoy about that one is as we start looking at what it looks like when we deal with responsive, you can tell it gets this number, once you get this number, drop to the next level, right? And so it goes full. And so now you can play with it a little bit more to where you can think about it in 4 dimensions, the same way you would when you are coding. And the auto layout gives you it allows the designer to work better with the developer than if you didn't. And this is kind of dealing with structure. You know, I have to now, because I think about auto layout, I have people or designers who had never thought about designing, I never thought about code. Now they are one step closer to organizing their files the same way that a developer will organize their files. So that's the pro, the plus, and the power of auto layout, and why it's kind of cool to kind of work with it, and also to make it less fearful is to give it a context of if you were coding it, you would code it knowing that it flow this way. You can apply that same logic to a bigger frame, but also, and you've already done it here by applying it to your chips. So like your chips are going to keep going, but you can set it up so that once you get to, let's say, however many chips, they just with the stack. And so, yeah, that's my goofy way of kind of dealing with that. This is getting all kind of in the weeds, but this is straight, baby.
No, it's good.
All right, sorry. Back to you and yours.
No, that's perfect. That was like the best breakdown, because I think it also helps us understand how some of the stuff that was talked about in the Figma conference that happened. I think it was this week.
Yeah, buddy.
I think it was like, I literally know this from what Hope was tweeting, but I think they have like not auto layout, but they push, you can like export your designs into code in a cleaner way now. And so I think that's a really great example of like, okay, cool. Like we have this tool, and if we can use the same language of like, this is how developers think about this is how designers think about this, we're going to be in a really great position to be able to speak the same language, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, when they started dealing with when they started talking about some of the token work, I'm working on a project right now that uses Tailwind. I think that's the terminology, Tailwind.
Yeah.
And so to be able to take some of the someone, I think I found a Figma file that was there, and to be able to kind of take that and to be able to start working with the variables and creating kind of like the variables for Tailwind, and in order to be able to give it these values, they kind of turn this into a nice little powerful monster. The thing that I have to work on is we have to think, get it done. Hang on, give me 1 second.
This definitely helps smoothing the handoff process.
Yeah, 100%. I think when it comes to getting this up and running, being able to leverage some of these tools, and if you're not a designer, it makes it a lot easier, because like Trey was saying, like you can leverage what you know about code and figure out like what is the Figma equivalent of doing XYZ in code, and start to really push for that.
Yeah. Like when he started like linking everything up to show the responsiveness feature, all I was thinking is, yeah, this is working. This could be explained by like a CSS expert using rems and ems and whatnot to actually keep everything in order or in hierarchy of place on the screen.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a thing. And I think I'm getting this. I think I'm doing this stuff right.
I think you are as well. I haven't been trying to cook. I've been trying to watch you cook. I said I was gonna let you cook and then modify as we go. So let me pull some strings here. As you can tell, we are winning whatever it is that my son is doing back there.
Love it.
Wait, 150%. Okay. Phil, that's why. Hug. Hug. All right. I'm gonna tweak some things for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I want to ask you a question. The goal is these to the stack, and this to be on the side, correct?
I think so.
Okay. I like to mess with other people. I like to, as you notice.
Trey, re-ask that question. Valerie just came back.
What did you say?
Oh, what was the question?
Re-ask that question. What the goal is for the look of the components?
Oh, are you still looking at our live stream, Trey?
No. I'm looking at your file.
Okay, so our inspiration, I'm gonna drop it into the Figma file. This link is this here.
He's winning. He's winning.
Yeah, we appreciate the noise. Like, this is, again, the space where you don't need a code switch. Like, we get it. We want people to win.
Just so you know, I was just telling them to take it down to a 4. You know me, my house is turned always. So I want to make sure, and I'm sure you like this is me grouping. If you don't know this, right? Go through this. We'll go with 4. Let's go 0. I am going to assume what's this middle space? This space burden. I don't know what this is. I want to pull that away. All right, we have view drive system. All right, container frame.
Oh, this is what it's supposed to look. Yes, that's what I was trying to do. You did it.
All right, so I'm making some adjustments to see. My son's just like, yes, I heard you have a lot. I heard you have a. I heard you are working. Don't bother me then. I don't care. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna pull that. I think it's gonna be easy for me to break it and then put it back together. There's a lot happening here. Are you changing colors?
Yeah, because I couldn't take the transparent background.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, and I apologize because I am always just not looking at that, and so we're gonna look at this.
Oh, you're fine.
All that together.
Okay.
So now we got this set up to go vertical. We got this set up, and so again, the reason that I try to deal with auto layout, again, you don't need auto layout. It just makes life easier. Let's say this: if you've never learned how to do auto layout, if you can design, you can design. The reason I work on auto layout is for speed and to be modified. So like right here, I just did the organization. You don't have to. I name stuff once I feel like this is my space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because when people start looking at stuff, I need them to know that I'm going to footer. So that's just me. Again, you don't have to. We can call this button. Now, the thing that I'm going to do here is Control C, replace this, tell it build container. But now I need to tell this. That's the weird part about auto layout. When the so this parent, since it is in itself a hug, a field, once it gets put into another container, you have to pretty much take the time to reset up all of the parameters that you had inside of it. And so that happens, not a thing, but it is kind of getting used to it. I'm assuming we're going to go with 8 here. Let's say 8. There's this, what do you call it? I usually know it.
Yeah.
They just make things easier. I'm gonna do this though. See, I have this with padding of 11, but I'm gonna go. Let's see here, 24. This is flush. What is this? 8. What do we have here? 16. All right. I'm gonna tweak some stuff if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Let's see. We clean. We define what that is. You have your padding. All right. So you do have 16 padding. So let's say we're gonna take this overall thing. We're gonna get it 16. So we realize 16 is too. Well, oh wait, there is some spacing blocks elements you have in here. We got that right.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Space vertical. Let's get rid of those.
Look at that.
And so now we have 16. Now, one thing that we noticed is, we'll pull this to the side. Paste here. And I'm really going to start going crazy in a matter of seconds here. So let's say this is plug, so this should be refilled. So there's something going clear. Oh, wait, this is yours versus mine. All right, so now we have, this is kind of grouped here, so we're going to group these. Let's say we group these 3 things together. Let's move this to, let's say 4. And reading how this deal with this is talking about relationship. So these, I'm just going to group these things in relation. Let's say this is, it still feels a little bit spacious, but I don't think that's too bad. I'll just leave this here for that. The thing of that, we have 16 above, 16 below, whatever, so that's fine. I think there's more start with it here. Now the conversation is, we want to have this extra spacing to kind of divide it out, or to break it apart, to separate the two.
What do you mean? Wait, extra space where?
So in a relation, so my question, mind you, this is sight unseen, is are we talking about, do you want to have this, do you want, like here you had a 24, oh, you didn't have 24, you had a third line that we get rid of, disregard. So let's say 16, we can play with between 16 and 8. 8 feels like it might be snug. Might be snug if it's gonna be, yeah, this is for 8. If we're playing with 4 16, it looks like everything together. But so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make you're right. I'm gonna make this a card. Control C. And what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna do this for you. All right, hold on. Back over here, set this down here. Let me make sure I do this right. Card there. Like this. Now, this is just me being designer geekiness here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and these are all the same, but we want to change some of these. So we can do a couple different things here, which is kind of get into the weeds. We can, I'm not going to go with variables, but I'm going to sit there and say that if you want to create Boolean things to where you want to add nuances, we have right now, we only have 1 card that's only doing one thing, so we won't necessarily need to do that. So we're just going to keep this as your baby right here. Now, the reason I'm doing that, the reason I'm doing this is whenever you're making changes to this 1 card, it's going to reflect on every other card above.
Oh, because we're using like the components and symbols and stuff. Okay, yeah.
And so as you're doing that, I feel like this way you don't have to, you can do this and not necessarily worry about it, but keeping in mind what you're trying to accomplish, you still want to be, let's go ahead, turn this one. Right, so you still have that, and if you want to, you can get rid of some of these chips. And so, if you want to have that what you call it,
Mm-hmm.
And so that way, you give the min max. So that means it never starts stretching over. But then, you know what? Give it a min. Do that right here. Oh, no. Add max width, add min width. Min width 343. Max width is 375. And if I did this right, let's see here. We had a min, we had a max, and now we do the fold. And so yeah, so now you see that it drops off. But we won't have that super skinny. Sorry, I had to move it over. We won't have that super skinny thing. We'll have to see something that looks a lot more akin to what you have in production. Boom.
This is perfect. Well, I'm so happy you joined us, and I didn't have to play designer today because I was struggling. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but I'm a full believer of you learn as you go. But it's also really great to learn with people who know what they're doing. So Trey, thank you.
You're welcome. I like to think about it as this. I was explaining to someone else about this, and this is how the team dynamic works. So I'm a principal, right? I go and I work 40 hours, and then I go and I spend 4 hours after work, and I go learn, right? The most that I can maximize when I go learn is whatever I want to learn, I can learn the equivalent of 4 hours to that, no matter how good I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a team of us, right now it's 3 of us. So we decided we were going to go learn, and we were going to go dedicate 3 hours. Each of us was going to dedicate 4 hours to learning something. When we come back now, instead of it being 4 hours now, it's 12 hours. And 12 hours there, and now it's 12 hours on a specific thing. So I can tell you everything I learned in the time that I was in there. You can tell me everything you learned in your time, and Andre would tell me what he learned in his time. Now we spent 4 hours separate, and we spent an hour together. But after that hour, in total 5 hours, we now have 12 hours of knowledge. And depending on how many times we do that, depends on how more often that we kind of advance. So that's why I always go, I'm like, oh yeah, somebody's talking some tech stuff, somebody's talking some dev stuff. I'm always in here, especially because y'all know what's on the horizon. I'll show y'all how to do this, and then y'all show me how y'all implement this and how y'all can make all this wizardry. So now we're here. So now everybody is kind of better for it.
Yeah, and I think that's what made like the whole Figma and Chill setup that we had between like Figma, Chill, Product and Chill, and what was it, Dev and Chill?
Mm-hmm.
It was the perfect combo of chaos, learning, and having fun after work. Because like I don't know about you, but like my brain sometimes turns to mush after work. So if it's not entertaining, I'm not engaged. So.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely understand that.
So I think Trey, you came in and saved the day and got our designs up and running. So I want to like get us to the next phase of like what this would look like to go from designs to dev handoff, and then we're gonna start going through like how do we talk about this and start to get the code set up to work for the next phase of this workflow. So.
Okay.
What I like to do when I talk about dev handoff is that Trey, you might have a lot of things to say about this too, but I think what's really cool is to be able to point out to developers, like what type of data are you looking for? Like what are the things that are going to be dynamic, talking about what it should look like in different states, and just call out if you're designing something that's already existing, pointing out the key things that are different. So those are just a quick overview of what you would look for or what you would try to set up as a designer that is handing off stuff to a developer. Those are the things that developers are going to ask questions about. They're also going to want to know things like spacing and colors. I know Figma has put like the dev tools or dev mode behind a paywall. So Tech by Choice no longer has access to that because we're not paying extra for anything. So we have a couple of different ways that we set this up. A lot of the stuff that Trey was talking about, as far as using the 8-point spacing and all of that good stuff, we can translate that into code and just do some playing around to make sure the measurements looks good. So we have pixel perfect stuff. So Andre, let's talk about what we'll quickly voice over the handoff and like what that would look like. And once we get done with that, we'll be able, you can go ahead and start sharing your screen, and we'll start jumping into the code and starting to turn the designs into code and just like updating that. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So I'm gonna like, oh, before we pass this over to Andre to like start voicing over the handover, Trey, do you think there's anything else we should like call out when we are doing like dev and design handoffs that's been helpful for you?
So I'll tell you this. So there, usually there's some dev handoffs that you're lucky enough. I think they have a bunch of different resources that come through. One of the things that you have a benefit of using when you think about dev handoffs is one, let's say from a small level, page structure to let you know what you have in terms of your organization, file cleanliness, but also there's some things that you have access to. I'm about to really just be geeky here. I appreciate this. I've turned this into a selection. Now, because it's selection, even though you don't have it, I can still mark this as ready. And so that if anything is in flux, it still shows that, all right, this one we're okay to go with, right? That this okay to go with. And if you look on the tab down, you see a green icon. So that between that green icon and its tab, I can let you know what is still in flux, what is good to go, and what we have. Another thing is kind of building out this common knowledge of these. One of the things that I think becomes important here is making sure that y'all have a glossary and a defined language. One thing that we don't realize is, we understand padding, margin. Those things are called pills. And this is what happens with pills. When y'all make sure y'all have those things defined, things go a little bit smoother. And after that, I'll say the last thing is we do kickoff meetings. I do dev handoff. Because the one thing that I found out that devs realize is they're like, hey, I clicked on this security icon, and so they'll tell you that you group something or organize something. So that's probably the bigger things is being able to call it out, is to have file structure, but then also meet with your devs to find out how does this make sense and how can I deliver it to you. And every meeting that I've ever had with a dev, they've always told me a way that I can make it more efficient in delivery. So yeah, I think that's probably it.
Yeah, no, I love that you could do a lot in documenting and like leveraging these tools, but nothing replaces the actual like human connection that you can have. So I think that is key, especially if you're someone who is a designer that is looking to grow and become more advanced. What Trey just pointed out, that is what you need to really focus on. Like it's really great. It's really great to have like be able to use the tools and things like that, but what really makes this happen is when you're able to work as a team to get things from design to code. Okay, thank you, Trey. So want to take a second to say shout out the folks who have just joined our Twitter space. And then I do see that we have another message that just came through the chat as far as like feedback on what we could do for improving the designer to dev handoff. And it's really good to have some type of style guide to be helpful, so that like that becomes another part of our language that we start to use when we are building out these systems that can get pretty complex. I think just for a recap of what we're currently building, we're actually building out a component library for the Tech by Choice community we have built out some really cool products that we're getting ready to release in the next couple of weeks. And we have built out these different micro front ends, so like apps within apps. And in order to get this working, we have created a component library that we can share between all of the applications. So it's cohesive, same branding, same style. What's the line? One band, one sound. Oh, I don't think we should use that anymore with the latest news. Uh, Retract that.
This just got dark.
Yeah.
Like, Jay, drumline reference, and you're just like, all right, I don't even wait. Just out of curiosity, without going too far in there, are we talking about Nick Cannon's bad shit? Is something else wrong with the cast?
I thought one band, one sound was from Diddy. Is that not from Diddy? Did I have that reference wrong?
Well, it probably was, but nobody remembered it until you said it was from Diddy. So I think you could have gotten away with it without saying it was from the Diddler.
So oh, okay. I think I'm confusing. What was the thing that
Making the band.
Diddy? No, Diddy made people like walk or something.
Making the band.
Cheesecake? Yeah, make the band.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Making the Band. One band, one sound is from Nick Cannon's drumline. So that's okay. We can still use that.
Okay.
I-
Just so you know, I'm a DM you Spade fans. I need you to be able to get the books. If you can't get the books correctly, I don't know if our friendship will last.
Look, I just want you to know I am on the other side of a millennial. I'm very close to Gen Z, okay? So like I'm trying my best to keep up with these references, but I was not allowed, okay? My mother made me just watch Disney Channel and I had to catch the reference later on in life. Okay, I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Also,
They don't have I love the 2000s like they do for the 90s and 80s. Oh, I don't think they have it for the 90s. I love the 80s.
Just put generation out of the book. Like, that's what I call old niggas.
Yeah, so, you know,
Chrissy, that's hilarious.
yes, justice for Daddy Kane.
Also, I'm sorry, go for it.
No, go ahead, Andre.
Also, Trey, if you're seeing any drumline references over the recent internet, that might be due to Drake telling Metro that he needs to go diss him by making beats. Yes, it's actually really funny.
All right, I'm gonna keep this light. We're gonna move. I'm gonna try to take this out. I saw a tweet on here. On X, Twitter. I'm just not gonna call it X. I saw a thing on X was like on Twitter that was just like, man, drumline, like Metro's probably just standing up, probably stood up making we still don't trust you just despite of 40. And I was like, oh my god, they're going so dark. And the thing about it is, it's like you're seeing how he gets to have so much. And mind you, I don't really care about it, but we get to see how he gets to have so much fun and like nothing's really off limit. But when then the other guy who pushed the button and was like, yeah, nothing off limit, then you realize how bad it was that they had Jay Prince coming in like spiritual Kurt Blanket. We don't go low, we go high. Like, dog, you put people in the dirt. What are you? He's like, he's dissing the drummer, and they were like, man, Metro is dissing Drake and Morse code at the end of.
Okay.
Yeah, when you mentioned Jay Prince, I knew it was gonna go left. You're right.
No, that's good. This is perfect because I feel like people don't understand how much fun we have when we're talking about this stuff and doing this work. And I think people think we're literally just like pushing out products. I was gonna say pushing P. What, you know what? Let me get off of this. Let's go ahead and jump into the code. After that short break, I definitely just like tweeted out that we have gone full-fledged Figma and Chill. And that for folks who are in the chat, they are watching us through live stream. Figma and Chill is actually how we got started with all of this, learn through play, building community, learning together over the pandemic. Andre, I'm going to go ahead and go to your screen so we can start pulling up the code, okay? And during that time, we created this really cool way for us to start to build community, have fun. And we started off with making memes, and it turned into like, hey, we actually want to get serious and learn together like we're doing now. And it kind of just like really defined how we show up for community now. Right now, for those of us, because I just saw we got a flux of people who have joined. Welcome to all the different places that people are currently watching. I want to go ahead and let folks know we're getting ready to turn the designs that Trey has just created for us and turn them into design. We're going to do a mock design dev handoff with all of us here that are in the Twitter space. So Andre, to kick us off, we're going to start talking about what we'll need to start to pull from the API to make these cards come to life. With that said, I know we kind of started talking about like, hey, we're going to need to pull the company name from the back end. We'll need to pull the date. Looking at this card, I would love for you to just like talk through what you think you need to do and the data that you think you need to access in order to make this card come to life. And it's okay, you don't have to get everything right. Like we'll work it through together. Take notes. Our current can follow along. Okay.
Okay. That was a filler word. Shouldn't have used it. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have the company name come through the API. Know that for sure. How do you want to incorporate how do you want to deal with the date? Are we gonna use the datetime API or are we gonna like pull data from whatever listings you get on the app to then just like put that through on the card?
So I think that's a good question. How are we going to leverage the data? How do we make it the data format in a way that we want to? You could use a different library. I don't think we currently have a library that handles time in our code base. I just been using just default stuff from using JavaScript to do that. We definitely should start to think about a more efficient way to do that. But I think for right now, just to get this out the door, we could just use the whatever default timestamp we can get with JavaScript for right now. Okay.
Okay. Obviously the header of job role, that doesn't have to be dynamic. I'm sure
Oh no, wait. So job role, let's talk about that. So job role in the site, it's going to be different. It's going to be like senior front end developer, junior developer, or maybe it's a designer or UX. So that one actually is also dynamic. So
okay. So it's not going to be job role. It's going to be the actual role itself. I am slow. Good.
No. But what you're pointing out is something that Trey kind of like helped us figure out how we could make this more flexible in our design. So this is a good example of like how, as a designer, we think what we build out will translate and just make sense to everyone else who looks at it. So in this instant, I think this would be a really good like learning lesson of, are your designs reflective of what you want to see in production, what you want to see live in the code or on your website? So this confusion is because I put down job role instead of an example of like front end dev. So that would have translated better and would say like, oh, this is probably dynamic versus just leaving job role, right?
Gotcha. So then pretty much I think the only thing that won't be that might not have to be dynamic would be the word salary.
Uh, okay, so this salary, I guess for the first go, we can say that it'll always I think a better question for you would be like, do we have hourly jobs that someone wants to post, or do we have jobs that are consulting? Because that could also change how this little option here is popping up. But I think that's a good call out because typically, I think on our job board currently, we only have salary positions. But with talking with some of the companies, we definitely want to be more flexible with this next rollout so that we can allow different job types. So let's call this out as like Trey. Go ahead.
Do you mind if I geek out? I wanted to ask you this earlier, and I think this might be a good time to just back up if you don't mind. So one of the things that I was starting to work on the right, and I thought that you brought up a good point, is you have an idea, and you're like, oh man, this would be a fantastic idea, and then you have the conversation where you start looking at there's a business goal, and then there's a customer goal, and then there's the actual way a customer would kind of interact with it, right? There's a way that I like to refer to it as, like a gun looks nice on the shelf, but then give it to somebody, but then they have to give it to the soldier and put him in the middle of the forest, or put him in the middle of put him in the battlefield and test it. When I look at that, I always go, if I am a job seeker, what is the most important to me? What would I care about? But also as a job poster, I understand this is a job board now. What is the information I'm going to readily have available, and what is going to be potentially some things that will be most useful? To your point, I was looking at, let's say, we're going to break this conversation down in terms of dynamic, but one of the things we also look at is where's the data going to come from, and the ease of use of that data. For example, this header, this image, the image is going to have to come from somewhere. And let's say I am a recruiter. Am I going to go like the Uber Eats route, where I have an image, but the image isn't a complete reflection of my company or a complete reflection of the role? Is it going to be a logo there? It's like, all right, cool. So what would that look like? Where's the logo there? The date, is it the date? This is going to be the date the job was posted, right? So is that going to be something that we want to reflect the actual date, or do we want to go with posted 7 days ago, posted a week ago? That kind of context is like, do we add context in that area? And it's kind of like, how can we take what we've given and then evolve it to see what will be a useful use case from the job seeker who gets a glance at this. Would a photo, a generic photo, be useful, or would seeing that this is a Google post grab my ear? Grab my eye, and it's just stuff to consider.
No, I think that's perfect. I think we definitely brushed past a lot of stuff when we were kind of like grounding everyone in the beginning of this exercise, and you definitely did a great job of pulling us back and making this a little bit easier to get through this part. So for anyone who's listening, these are all great questions that it doesn't matter if you're a developer or a designer. These are the conversations that you can go back and forth and have. Like Trey pointed out, a number of different themes that usually if you're working on a team, you would try to solve a lot of these questions or problems up front. But That's in a perfect world. The reality is, for most of us, we're solving these questions literally as we're building, just like we're doing now. Because theory only works in books, it doesn't work in reality all the time.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Very much. And one of the things I also like to think about, in a perfect world, we go through all the steps to do everything, but sometimes, like I said, we all have jobs, and we also kind of design the speed and agile. So, hey, look, I'm gonna put this here. Does this work this way? Should I work? Does it work this way? Should I do something else? What is your idea? Like in my brain, I am working with engineers. Can I do this in a way to where I can explain my idea to where it makes sense? Do I need to visually explore something? If this makes sense, then we'll go in and we'll explore it. But if it doesn't, then all right, we can move around. And I know there is a bunch of stuff where people will go, we need to make sure that you do all the steps. And I hear that, and I'm all the way agreeing that I believe that you should go through all the steps. But sometimes, man, throw something on the wall and see what sticks. And so like one thing I'll pull over here, where like with the discussion that we were having earlier, I'm just gonna set it above. We're not design with the chaos world. An example of here is like, let's take an idea and then let's see what it looks like. And here before we go through, does like this one where we put just a generic image, all right, cool, but it doesn't have the same weight as if I were to take and ask for the logo here. Now, mind you, we don't necessarily have to define that, but then we'll notice that potentially that we'll start seeing a trend where all of our job postings will probably start looking a lot more with logo than it would with just the image. And so that's fine. We can leave it open-ended to them. All right. So this is kind of like taking an idea and let's see what it looks like on paper. And like I said, we get to this without Andre and Val having to code 1,000 lines. I just do this now. And again, it's about working with engineering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Work with us.
Yeah. I also, seeing this brings me back to a question that I want to ask you for a while now. And is there a default image? And would that would obviously be something that's on the API that I would be able to like push to all of the cards, like all of the filler cards that are just there before like any. If there's nothing in that they could use to like hold a site.
Yes.
I hope that was like really jumpy.
No, you're doing good. That is a great question, because the other thing is like what you're asking is what happens in different states. What happens if this user has submitted a job but they didn't give you an image? What do we do? How do we handle that? Because we don't want the code to say like broken image, like there's nothing there, that looks unprofessional, it's not clean. So that's a great question. We do have a default image, which I think is just like the TBC logo.
Okay.
And to answer your question, Trey, we definitely want to go with like company logos because I feel like that just makes it a little bit cleaner. Okay. I am trying to find. I think I want to look. I want the job board to like look pretty. So I would love it if all the logos could just be the, what is it called, like the symbol and not words. But I don't think I can get that detailed with people. It's a job board. But yeah, I like how you pointed out, what does the different options look like? For the folks who have just joined us in the Twitter space, thank you for joining us. We are hanging out, doing our dev and chill. It's been a while since we've done this. We are building out some of our open source initiative, our program, and coding through a PR. Well, actually designing and coding out the next steps for this PR. And so typically we code something that's fun, it's memes, it's just for jokes and giggles. But with our open source initiative, we wanted to like bring this back and show people what it's like to build a project to go from design to code. So that's what we're doing today. If you would like to follow along, definitely check out the pinned tweet. You can see our live stream. You might already be watching that, or maybe you're just listening and hanging out with us because that's cool too. If you want to join the conversation, this is a very chill environment. You don't need to worry about being professional or always talking about code. We were also just talking about Nick Cannon just a few minutes ago. So if you want to join the conversation, request to be a speaker, ask questions, drop comments in the chat. These are all different ways that we could connect and build together. Right? So jumping back into the code, we're talking about what the dev and design handoff could look like so people can explore and understand in the workplace the different questions that you're asking so that you have a better experience with building and a better experience with just getting the designs to become actual code that is live. So Andre, you were doing a really great job of breaking this down, asking really great questions. Trey has been jumping in and providing that additional support. Andre, I want to do a check-in and see how you're feeling about the way that we broke everything down so far. Do you have a clear understanding of what to do next? Do you see, if you look at this design, do you still have some additional questions about what's next?
Looking at design and remembering some of the things that are already in the code base, no, I'm pretty confident that I have an idea of how some of the things should be executed.
Okay, cool. So just to quickly go over some of the themes that are there, job details, in company logo, logo, and job link. So I want to call out a couple of things that we didn't talk about already, just to make it extremely clear to everyone who's following along and may not have seen our current repo. So for these cards, we're going to be pulling the date, the job role. In the salary section, we're going to have to put in some logic here to tell us if this role is salary, hourly, or a contract. So like maybe it's just one giant payout. We need to figure out how to show the comp, whether it's going to be a salary band or a hourly rate or something like that. And then we'll have to display the skills, the job details, company logo, and the job link. Those are all of the details that we need to pull from the back end to make this card come to life. So let's go ahead and jump into the code. Under you have the link for the Figma file. Yeah, you do. I see it on your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and change the screen to Andre's screen because now we're getting ready to go from design. The handoff has been successful, and we're going to start coding this out, or at least getting the outline. Because I promised Andre we would go for like an hour and 30. And we're at an hour and 20. So we're not going to be able to code this out completely. Or maybe we should just make this in a good stopping point. How do you feel about this, Andre?
I actually have a question that might actually be a decent stopping point. Seeing as parts of the, are you on my screen?
Yes.
Can you see what I'm looking at? All right. So seeing as parts of the code base already feature a basic card component that just needs to be adjusted. Should we continue with this story, or should we actually start the job card story and then import this and have these Figma styles be represented by that?
That's a good question. I'm going to do some grounding and then answer your question, okay? So, Andre, to explain what's going on, we have broken down. Um, we have broken down the work that we're doing for this project in linear. We've been tracking the work that we want to do, and so because we want to make sure that we're breaking this work down into better chunks, we have broken down what needs to be done for this card by saying we want to make this like parent card that will hold all of the logic that people will use to then build out these different cards for jobs, for events, and I think for our mentor profile card. So, with that in mind, Andre's pointing out, hey, the work that we're doing now and the things that we're breaking down is all related to the job stuff. We already have the basic card component built. It is live. I think it's in the draft PR right now.
Yes.
And so we're saying, like, now that we have this draft PR done, should we close that out and start to work on the job card task? So I say now that I did the grounding, to answer your question, I say it might be better to put these two PRs together in one. And I say this because this will be the first time we test if the basic card is set up in a way that's going to support the job card. I think there's definitely ways for us to have two different branches, so two different versions of this PR going so that you can keep these two things completely separate. But I think for like what we're doing, the team that we're building with, it's okay to put these two PRs together into one.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, so then I mean, because it was an because I was promised an hour 30, I guess for like some parts of the coding, I could actually just set up the folder and things that we're gonna work on the job card in.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, with that said, we typically have our coding section, our open source check-ins on Tuesday. Would you be down to just like do our next coding session on Tuesday so we could pick up where we left off of turning the designs to code, making sure that people can follow along and all that good stuff?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, cool. So for those of you who have been hanging out with us today, it's been really great. We're going to be around for a little bit in the Twitter space just to make sure if anyone in the space has questions about what we've been talking about, the stuff that we've been doing. If you have more feedback about Danity Kane, maybe not Diddy, we're not going there, but maybe you have some feedback about Nick Cannon, a lot of different things on him. That one Dr. Umar, that with him, which is also, if you haven't seen it, please go watch that. Hilarious. You could definitely hang out and chat. This is definitely the chill side of Dev and Chill. Thank you all for following along, especially all of you who have been watching on Twitch and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and do the Twitch thing. I don't even know, you're a subscriber, whatever, do that. We will be back next week to wrap up this code. And for now, if you enjoyed this, make sure you check out the Tech by Choice community. We're all about helping people navigate this weird tech space, especially the one that we're in now, in ways that you don't have to code switch. As you can see, we can learn and have fun together. All right. Okay, cool.
Sounds like
I'm going to go ahead and